I've got two topics I want to talk about today. One is the progress that we've shown in our yard over the years. It's been a long time coming, seeing our lawn and our property to get to the state where it is, and it's not done yet. The other topic is I've got 25 hours on this Yanmar tractor, and I've got several things that I like better than what I expected. I believe I found three things that I don't like or could be improved. I want to kind of talk to you in some detail about that. It's true I only have 25 hours on the tractor, but those 25 have been doing radically different tasks. This is the third time I've mowed the lawn with it, so I've got some experience there already, and I've used it in several other tasks. Before I get to the tractor, though, I think it's valid that we start talking about the lawn and kind of what we've done here over the years. I've just finished driving through a swale, and we created that swale. I'm thinking it was about the third year we were here. The first 2 years, we evaluated things. I don't know if I've told you or if you remember from watching our earlier videos that when we first visited this place, it was almost knee-deep in water out in the front. And I've got some videos later of that, hopefully I can show you here, where, yeah, it was hopeless, I might say. And so we spent the first couple of years just evaluating where we were, trying to figure out how we were going to drain it, some of the options that we had available to us. Take a pause here, and I want to show going up on this bank. It's not that it's crazy steep, but doing this without scalping is pretty amazing, I think. So during those first 2 years, we were evaluating how to deal with the drainage. We knew that was the number one issue. We were also busy with other aspects of the move, right? I mean, that's kind of standard anytime you move, and our move was pretty traumatic for us. Not only were we moving, our business was expanding dramatically. We had a bunch of new equipment to deal with. We had a shop that was less than perfect. It's amazing how good a job of trimming I can do with this thing. But yeah, we had a lot of stuff going on. We really couldn't dive into the drainage issues first thing anyway. And that, I think, worked in our favor because it gave us more time to figure out what the right approach was to solving that issue. So the first project was that swale. We created that swale along the east side of our property, and it helped a lot. But it didn't solve that problem. And we knew we were going to have to solve that problem before we could get serious about any other long-term remedies to the property. And so what we decided to do then was to combine the drainage fix with the second of the annoyances we had with the property, and that was the big hump in the middle of the yard. That big hump had been created by the prior owner when he put in what he called a pond. We're not really sure it was a pond, but yeah, it was just a big mud hole from our standpoint. And the hump it was man-made, and it looked man-made. And we knew that we weren't going to be able to live with that. Yeah, first world problems, I know. What we mean is we weren't going to be happy living here with the equipment we have, knowing that hump was, well, ugly. So we got the whole gang together and we did all that work on the hump. Very happy with the results, and this year is really the first year that the grass is full out here. Very happy with the results that we've got now. What's left of the hump looks pretty natural. And you can see as I'm driving right now, I'm driving into the drainage swale that we created here, and we used our laser to get that water to drain all the way around the former hump and to drain right back into the neighbor's field where the county told us everything was supposed to drain. Now I suspect we had a lot of viewers at the time that were getting bored with the details, right? I mean, this wasn't moving as fast as a TV series, right? It just takes a lot of time to do this stuff. So the viewers might have been bored and frustrated that it wasn't moving faster, but I can guarantee you that that wasn't near as frustrated or bored as Christy and I were. We really wanted to see the lawn take shape faster than it did, but we just couldn't help it. Yeah, so along about that time, we found that the neighbor property, 2,200 acres over here, has been sold, or had been sold at the time. And that 2,200 acres is going to become a huge subdivision, among other things. So that's when we planted these oak trees. The idea being to have something as quickly as we could to be growing that's going to be, longer term. Now, of course, an oak tree is not going to grow fast enough to be a true shield or a natural fence between you and your neighbors. No. But we thought this would be a good start for them, and then we can put in faster growing stuff as the time progresses and once we kind of see what's going on. Since then, that subdivision has been delayed. I think the local community here does everything they can to delay what I would call progress, but other people would call something else, less pleasant. I do want you to notice that I can trim pretty good with this big mower. It takes some practice. You have to learn when to swing out and when to swing back, because it's not exactly when you would think it would be. But I'm able to trim pretty good with it. So let's talk about the tractor a little bit. I had a list, I think, of like 4 items as to why I wanted this particular tractor versus different tractors. And I can review some of those to this point, and some of them I might not have, kind of full enough experience to have answers to. The most important thing to me was the transmission. I wanted to try this transmission. I had a feeling that it would be special, something unique, something powerful, more efficient, in other words, as well as easy to handle. And so far I have found that to be the case. So I'm really happy with the transmission to date. It has taken a little bit of practice to get used to it, to get used to how to optimally use it, but it is really, really nice. Now, along that same line, when I talk about power and efficiency, I have not had this mower on another 60 horsepower tractor, so it's pretty hard for me to do a direct comparison power-wise. I say 60, this one's 59. This should correspond to a 4066 John Deere. It should have a little more power than a Kubota L6060, I believe. I'll put that information here if I'm wrong on that. But what I'm finding is that this tractor never even knows the mower's back there. And granted, we don't have a real big hill here, but with my 3046R, even in somewhat light mowing conditions, I would find that the tractor pulled down pretty bad. I could only go maybe 2.5 to 3 miles per hour up the hill. With this one, I've not had any issue whatsoever. Okay, I'm running the cruise control now, and this is a feature that I didn't even mention. I have found this cruise control to be more intuitive and easier for me to understand and operate than the John Deere version. There's going to be some John Deere lovers that say, what do you mean you can't understand the John Deere one? Well, I can figure it out. I just don't have the memory, I guess, to figure out which button is which at times. And I don't know, it just doesn't work. This one is, they call it an auto cruise. Well, It's like an automobile. It's got set, resume, and it works very, very well for me. Other people might not find it any different than the Deere. That's fine. I'm just telling you what my experience has been so far. I can press the clutch. I can press the brakes. Both brakes at the same time will make the cruise disengage. I'll do that now. Okay. Oops. Hit enough of the limb to slap my mirror in. But I can go around a corner like that with the cruise disengaged. One press of the button resumes it. It's wonderful. So usually I use both brakes. I just touch them with my feet like that to take it out of cruise control. I've been running the cruise control when I'm out in the big lawn here at about 5.4, 5.6 miles per hour, somewhere in there. Let's see, I'm at 5.4 right now. And again, it doesn't know the mower's back there. This is a Woods TB1220. It has an incredibly fast blade tip speed. By the way, it's very loud. I'll get to that a little bit more in a moment. And so the cut quality seems to be fine at this speed. The only place where I don't see a perfect cut is right behind the tractor tires. And I think that has to do with the R1 tires that I chose on this machine. So let's move to the tire selection. For my lawn in early spring, the R1 tires are causing a bit more damage to the lawn than what I expected. And I don't think it has as much to do with the fact that they're R1 tires as just how narrow the front ones are. Even then, it's not so bad. One of the 3 mowing times, I actually had the loader on with a bucket off, and I'm pretty sure that made the front end heavier and therefore made the front tires a little more aggressive, which was a bad thing in my situation. The other thing is the noise level in the cab. It's a little bit louder than what I said in the initial video, at least with this mower. It's up to about 82 dB. I still find it comfortable to operate without a hearing protection in. These headphones that I have right now are so I can talk to Christy. They are not hearing protection. That mower, when I was outside, I did a little sound test by it, and it was 110 dB. So yeah, it's a loud rig. So it's no wonder that I noticed a little more noise in the cab than when I was in the dealer's lot doing the initial test. Now, after we got the hump under control, the next step was the pond. We knew we had to do something there, either fill it in or make it better. Believe it or not, that was not an easy decision. We finally chose to tackle it and see if we could make it something that we actually enjoyed on our property, and well, here's the result. We're not totally finished, I don't think. We still got some issues to deal with. For example, I think these banks, we're not going to be able to hold them with sod. So you can see that it's eroded away a little bit of the bank, and so we're going to have to do something here. Probably put some rock in there. We really didn't want to. We've seen my friend Randy's pond with sod all the way around it. It looks so pretty, but it doesn't look like we're going to be able to get ours to hold, so we got to change that. It took us almost 2 years to get the pond finished. Most of 1 year to dig it out, and then we had to finish up some of the landscaping the next spring. When we were building the pond, we thought we would build some sort of a gazebo or something off the side of the pond. Then we were watching Dig Drive DIY, and we saw his beautiful swimming dock. We're not really as much into swimming as he and his family is, but we wanted to be out on the water, and so that's where this dock idea came from that we built here. And had we thought of it sooner, Neil, it's your fault. You should have published that earlier. then we probably would have built our dock in to the floor of the pond rather than having it floating. But we've got it floating now, and we've got it a little above level on the back end. I think once we put the roofing on it, steel roofing, I think it'll be perfect. We're at a kind of a celebration stage, I guess you would say, kind of a milestone. I just want to say for us, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And the evenings that we've sat by the pond so far have just been incredibly rewarding because, well, we did that. You know, that means a lot. So I'm incredibly pleased with the power of the tractor, pleased with the turning radius, pleased with the ergonomics. The smoothness of the loader operation is, I didn't even expect that. That's something I discovered after the fact, right? I didn't even see that, so I didn't make my list of reasons why I chose it. But it's so smooth. If you want some visual of just how smooth it is, check out that prior video where we put the dock in the water. I think if you watch that closely, you should be able to see just what kind of minute control I was able to exert over the tractor. Of course, yes, I should have had it in four-wheel drive for the incident where I, slid on the trailer. Check it out, it's very interesting, but that's not tractor specific, that's just the operator didn't think of it. So I promised you 3 things that I don't like, or at least that I think they should be improved on this particular machine. Item number 1 is the PTO cover does not flip up. So it makes it a little bit difficult to reach the PTO to connect because that cover doesn't flip up. I'm used to all of them flipping up. I'd really like to have that improved. Item number 2 is one that was reported to me by other users, and I have experienced it. That is a steering glitch. When you get in a really tough bind with the steering, it doesn't have enough steering power to turn the wheels. I haven't found that to be a showstopper, but it can be annoying when you're wanting to turn the wheels and they won't turn. And then I need to figure out how to better describe that scenario, so I'll keep working on that, see if I can learn to understand better what's actually going on and if there's any workarounds on that or not. But it just gets in some situations when you're stopped with a heavy load on the loader, the steering just doesn't behave properly. Typically I'm in a hole or behind a big obstacle or something where the tire is being pushed in the opposite direction that I want to steer. That's when it causes the challenge. The third item is, this one's going to be totally nitpicky. There's a filter in the fuel fill hole, and it filters the fuel so slowly that it's very difficult to fill up with fuel. I would say it's 1 gallon per minute or less. I could take that filter out. I haven't done so yet, but it's nitpicky, I admit. But that's something that I would like to see improved. Maybe not quite as good a filter, so that it would allow the fuel to flow through a little faster. So from our yard standpoint, it's probably going to have to be good enough for now. Our improvements for this season are the big building. That's we just have to put 100% of our focus right there. So that's going to be a lot of the content you see. We will have a few other projects mixed in with the building project. So it's not going to be exclusively building, but a lot of it will be. Now, as I kind of mentioned in the update videos, there's still a lot of variety in what's going on there. So it's not going to be the same thing over and over. We've got many different aspects of the building that we're going to be working on. And I'll share it with you as we go along. On the tractor, overall, no regrets. I do not regret making this choice at all. I'm very surprised, actually, at the refinement, the power, just how nimble it is. Very, very happy with it. Bobby's been mowing the backyard and doing the trimming while I've been out here in the front. I don't know how long we've been mowing, but it's not very long. I'm gonna have to get a smaller mower. I'm not done having fun by the time we get done with the mowing.
I'm going to be quiet here for the rest of the video so you can enjoy the mowing for yourself.
5.6 miles per hour now. Folks, I hope you've enjoyed this brief history of our property here, and I hope you've enjoyed riding along with me while we've been mowing the yard. Really appreciate you riding along with us for all these years in our videos. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on Tractor Time with Tim.
And we all, who with unveiled faces contemplate the Lord's glory, are being transformed into His image with ever-increasing glory, which comes from the Lord, who is the Spirit.